Hello, good afternoon. It's just gone 1:25 PM on Tuesday, 10th of August, and I'm in the lovely Chew Valley. This is the village of Pensford. It's not far from Bristol. I'm heading that way. I'm off on a wild camp. I'm aware that I haven't made any videos for about a month or so since my Wavering Down camp. I have been busy doing other things, I just haven't been filming them, so I'll explain more about that later. But this is ideal here, it's beautiful. Just over there is the River Chew flowing by, and that behind me is the old Pensford Viaduct, disused from 1968 onwards. Funny enough, the railway line which fed across it actually survived the beaching acts in the 1960s, and then there was heavy flooding in 1968, which damaged the railways so badly further that way that they closed it anyway. I guess it's under that umbrella of the cuts they wanted to make. Interesting story about that viaduct. Back in the 1980s it was up for sale for £1, but there was a catch, a very big catch. Like a lot of these old infrastructures that British Rail owned, they wanted to get rid of it. You had to take on the responsibilities for it, the upkeep and everything. To the best of my knowledge, there were never any takers, and so that is still part of the old British Railways liabilities that they have to maintain. That's the direction I'm heading. There's the viaduct cutting across quite a deep valley, Pensford Church, and there's the Chew flowing through it. And that's the main road I've just cut across, and I just came up here. My destination for tonight's camp, if all goes to plan, it's Wavering Down. It's one of two peaks, the other being Crook Peak on the Mendips. They're the lesser known peaks of the Mendips. They're actually on the West Mendip way, and I'm going to try and ride up a bit of the West Mendip way from the village of Winscombe to get there. And I should be overlooking Cheddar Reservoir, so there's some pretty good views up on the Mendips. I'm going to stop at Winscombe to try and fill up with water and get myself some beer for tonight, so I'll see you there. Just come in that way from Sandford, and this is the start of the old station green. They've converted the old Winscombe station into a lovely green community area, and then just underneath it is some toilets, and I seem to remember there may be an outside tap there. If not, the co-op's just up the road. I can just see my destination over the top of the hedgerows. That's the Mendip escarpment I'm heading to up there. There's the old platform. I remember the old 1948 youth hostel book I've got for this area. It lists some youth hostels, including the old Burrington Coombe youth hostel, long gone, and it says you can get there on the main line railway from Yatton and the branch line, this station from Winscombe. Wonder how many people got off here with the intention of going up to Burrington youth hostel. Here we are. This is where I'm going to get off. Village centre, just down there. I think there may be a tap behind that toilet block, and I'm going to head up that way, turn off to the right, stop at the co-op on the junction, turn off to the right, and then I'm going to do a loop round and come out on top of Chute Shelf. Excellent, yeah, and it even says drinking water. There's a really nice area. I quite often sit and chill out here. Nice little park just underneath. Look at that. Really have made this a lovely community area. That's great, avoids me going to buy bottles of water. This is my Field and Trek water bag, folds up really small, and got a plastic cap which comes off, about quarter full, so the plastic cap just goes on like that, press fit, and it's got like just a little crease in it where you open it up, hold it that way and you get the flow of water. And then it's got these two straps, hold it that way or that way, and I can put a bungee through that and just sponge it to the back of the bike. That's tonight's water for the camp. And that's it, just bungeed through the two straps onto the pannier rack, resting on top of the panniers. Not fantastic, but it's less than 2 miles to go to my destination. You'll notice the new panniers I bought a couple of months back. I did say I'd go through them quickly up at Wavering Down. The wind noise up there was so bad when I came to edit it, it was just unusable. And so I'll try that again tonight. Not going to review them, just give you a rough idea of why I bought them, why I like them, and how they're faring so far. This is only the second outing, incidentally. I'm now at the car park for walkers walking up to my destination. This is on the top of that hill I was talking about. So the railway pass is right underneath here. I've just done a sort of horseshoe, half a circle in effect. I'll put a diagram on the screen now. So the tunnel runs right underneath this hill. I need access through that gate, which is why I've come around the road. So I'm heading straight up there. As you can see, National Trust, Kingswood. And I'm going to be heading up there. Oh, public bridleway, so it is rideable, legally rideable. I've just emerged from the woods on this track, coming out amongst ferns, and then you start to get really the open land, upland open views. Just see the circular rim of Cheddar Reservoir there. It really is wheel circle. In the far distance you can see Glastonbury Tor. I'll try and zoom in, give you a better view. So it gives you a sort of an idea of the landscape. So I'm heading up here. It should open out a lot more to Wavering Down, and then in the distance is Crook Peak. It's coming up to 6 p.m. I'm speaking to you from Wavering Down Trig Point, 682 feet up on the Mendip. So in fact it's on the West Mendip way. So that's the way I've just come. If you look over there you may see the very circular defined reservoir of Cheddar. And then behind me there's Brent Knoll, and the other of these two lesser known but very distinctive peaks, the other one is Crook Peak. It's been a lovely day. It's windy up here, but not really cold. That's my tent up. You may hear it's quite windy up here. Just gone 7 p.m. I'm cooking my tea. So I'm cooking on my trusted MSR Whisperlight petrol stove. Just boiling up some pasta. That looks like it's not far off being ready. That's my main meal boiling away. The drained pasta and the Mexican chili con carne with some bread and butter. I've learned from experience, don't dish it all up in one go, so it gets cold quite quick. So I'll dish half of it up on this plate, keep the other half in the pot. I can reheat it if I need to. I'm really looking forward to this, I'm so hungry. There's some of my tea ready, bon appetit. This is the kitchen after my main meal then. It's my washing up bucket, it's a collapsible plastic PVC bucket. Got that off eBay for a couple of quid. Everything's been washed in soapy water and that. And then there's my tea towel just ready to dry it all up. It's always nice to have everything tidied and ready to pack away before I have my pudding. That's everything now washed and dried. It's just really nice to know minimal effort required first thing in the morning. This is my pudding I got from the co-op at Winscombe. Melon Melody it's called. Melon Melody it's called. Just lots of summer fruits. Really looking forward to just sitting here, slowly eating this, looking at amazing views. Everything becomes crisp as the sun sort of starts to set behind me. Everything sort of becomes crisp and it's losing that glare from earlier on. dropped quite a lot in the last month, so just a quick bit about that. I really wanted to finish my Super Randonneur series this year, which for those who don't know is a 200, 300, 400 and 600 kilometre ride in the same year. I'd already done the 2, 3 and the 4, and I've been a bit worried about 600s the last few years, because the older I get the harder they become. What I found is it's so much easier for me personally, it's just a personal opinion, to ride them as 2, 300s rather than try and bury yourself as I used to do and do a 400 on the first day and then only have 200 to do on the second day. I figured, and I experimented, and I found what worked for me is I'd rather ride 300 fresh than only 200 shattered, and that's what I do. But it is quite hard waking up when you're tired, 3 o'clock in the morning, trying to get back up the road at 4 to do 180, 190 miles. This year coincided with the hottest weather for a long time, and I was a bit wary, to be honest, because there was weather warnings out advising people not to go out if they didn't have to. And what was I doing 2 days of 300 kilometres? I took it very, very steadily, and actually, because I was taking so much care, it actually went really quite smoothly. I stopped and drank constantly. I was constantly topping my water up. I always made sure I had more than necessary, and stopped to put sunscreen on, and as I was doing that I was putting cream on my backside and around my shorts crotch area, and consequently I finished actually feeling really good, because last year I'd finished in the hot, I felt shattered, and I did sort of say I probably would never do another 600 again. This year it was much easier, even though it was actually hotter. I think the conditions were harder. It was actually easier just because I took so many precautions because of the weather warning. As usual, I had a little bit of luck. I think the Audax Angels looked down on me. I rode the same course, the route, as last year. Day 1 was Bath to Llandovery and back, almost an out and back, slight variation on the way back. And on the way back my gear started slipping, and I adjusted the cables a little bit, but no good. And I just thought in my head, I think maybe a cable's going to snap, so I checked all the outer wire cable, couldn't see anything, and I had it in my head, if it snaps inside the lever, you've had it really. I've had that before on a ride, and I've barely got home. So I got back to Bath, just swapped bikes. Last thing I wanted to do when I got home, I had 3 or 4 hours of sleep, and had to transfer everything from my blue Audax bike onto my red one. Rode the next day, that's the one with the down tube levers, so I rode that fine. Got back actually okay, and this year I didn't have the terrible toothache afterwards, which is what happened last year. So all in all, it went really smoothly. On the Saturday, a few days later, I was just washing the bike down. I just thought I better just take the gear cable out and see what the issue is, and then maybe see if the chain's worn, that sort of thing. I just flipped the gear stroke brake lever, and the cable snapped. It literally just, the outer pinged away from the brake lever, and it was all sheared. And if that had happened on the road, well, just done better thinking about it, really. And it took quite a long time for me at home, with specialist tools, to get the frayed cable out from behind the lever. So I'm just so lucky, really, that just didn't happen on the ride, really. So thank you, Audax Angels. Before that, I'd done several 200s and 300s. I started filming some of them, and I just lost interest halfway through the actual filming. I just wanted to enjoy them. And I've even been out on a couple of wild camps as well. One, actually, not a couple. And I started filming it, and I just thought, no, I just want to enjoy it, actually. So I've been about a month off YouTube, and actually, I'm actually ready to come back now. I feel like I've sort of had a break, and I did lots of things and enjoyed them, found them very satisfying. They fulfilled my needs, and I just didn't want to film them, so that's the reason, really. I'm inside the tent now. It's just the wind's starting to pick up, and it's getting quite chilly out there. this is going to be amazing, just watching the sun go down over the Bristol Channel. It's what I really like about this side entrance tent. It took me a while to get used to it, but you get these really good sweeping views. Oh, this is lovely. About 9:30 now, just lying in my tent. The wind's dropped down and I'm really nice and cosy in my sleeping bag, just lying, looking out, you know, the really big wide side door down towards Brent Knoll. Seeing all the lights. Gosh, I can really see the M5 going up there now. Can't believe I didn't spot that earlier on, but it was very, very hazy. Oh, this is fantastic. Now all the outlines of the Mendips and the fields below have disappeared. There's a big city over there. It's just lighting up like, well, it's just the brightest thing I can see from here. It's incredible how this suddenly changed. Really see the line of cars going up down the M5, but yeah, that over there, it's even illuminating the clouds above it. There's a big red tower as well, a bit like the Mendip transmitter. Wow. Hello, good morning from Wavering Down. It's about 7:15 now. Been awake for about an hour, just been lying in bed, chilling out. There's all this hill mist. That view last night was amazing as it got dark. The M5, which I can clearly see the course of now, yesterday afternoon in the haze I couldn't, and then it really became apparent after dark. You could sort of see all the headlights and the tail lights. But as the patchwork of fields disappeared as it got dark, and the few little hills and the rolling landscape, it just became a sea of lights, and there was a really big city over there. That's the Quantocks and North Devon coast along there. So thinking about it this morning, I think that must have been Bridgewater. Sitting here with a very welcome cup of coffee, waking up, just looking down at that amazing view. That's zooming in, looking towards Crook Peak. The second of the two dominant hills. For breakfast this morning, just got a bowl of cereal which I bought from home. I just wanted to keep the food preparation to a minimum on this trip and just enjoy the camping more. So again, what a lovely spot to just sit and eat your breakfast and look at that amazing view. Oh gosh, there's a horse rider coming along. I've seen a few walkers and a couple of cyclists already. Because this is on the West Mendip Way, it's much busier than I thought it would be actually. Lots of walkers, cyclists, horse riders, right until dusk, and then first thing this morning as well. As it got dark last night, all the patchwork of fields and the familiar landscapes just disappeared, and it just became a sea of lights. It's actually, I lost my bearings actually. It was just like looking down on this sea of lights. And I could just hear the sheep buying in the distance. That was really nice. This morning, it's quite grey and overcast, although it looks like it's clearing already. But all the field mist had risen, and you could see it rise as the sun came out. You could see it sort of like floating up the hills and over the tops of them. So I've had that this morning. There's a little bit of dampness in the air. My tent's got quite a layer of moisture over it. So I'll give you a quick sweep around. Back down towards Cheddar Reservoir, over towards the Lowellsgate Ridge, Bristol Airport. That was quite busy last night. That was all lit up like a city, and you could see all the planes coming in and taking off. And that's looking back towards Crook Peak and the Bristol Channel. That's the way I'll be leaving this morning. I'm heading down towards Compton, Bishop I think it is, Webbington, and then skirting around the north of the Mendips as I head back. I'm going to go around the perimeter road of Bristol Airport. That's always pretty impressive and spectacular as I head back to Bath. I did say on my last camp at Breen Down I'd give a few thoughts on my new panniers. When I went to edit it, the wind noise was so bad it was unusable. So I'll try and do the same here. I'm having to do it inside my tent again because of wind noise. The reason I got new panniers was because after my Fossway trip, my old panniers, which are Carradice as well, they were the more canvas plastic type, just had so many holes in them. I tried mending it and it was just impossible. So I went and bought these Carradice panniers. They're Carradice as well, and you may see it's very shiny. It's PVC, but it feels rubbery construction material, and they're supposed to be waterproof. So at the moment I'm trying them without inner liners. It remains to be seen whether they really are waterproof. One of the things I like about them is that they seem to have taken feedback on board and built in some improvements. So it looks like there's a lot of straps, but actually it stops all the loose strapping flapping about, and it's got these carry handles on the top as well as the old style ones there. But I found with the old panniers, whenever you lifted them, say into hotels or youth hostels, you would just bash these hooks into your thighs. So it's got these upright carry handles, and it's also got like luggage feet on the bottom, so they really do stand up much better. And also, traditionally panniers have been tapered at an angle to avoid your heel catching them when you're pedalling. Well, my old Carradice ones, that's where some of the holes came through from that pedalling. No matter how far back I put them on the rack, I would still occasionally hit them with the heel, and so that's where the holes formed. These, you may see, are much more straight but upright, so my heel is about 3 or 4 inches from them, so it solves that problem as well. They look really tall, but that's the reason. They're thinner but taller. At the moment, this is only the second outing with them, but so far I'm really pleased with them. Oh, it's got the outer pocket as well for things like tools and my fuel bottles, my water bag, anything that I want to get quick access to. And it's got all the reflective Scotch-like safety additions to it. The zips, instead of being across, which are more susceptible to getting the rainwater in, they're sealed and they go vertical. As I said, it's not really a review, it's just my initial thoughts. My initial thoughts are, yes, I like them. I bought the rear panniers myself. I've still got the green ones on the front, although my wife's bought me a matching pair of these Carradice ones for Christmas. That's everything packed away in the tent. Got all my rubbish put in separate bags so nothing blows away. Then it's all tied up tightly in an outer Morrison's carrier bag. Bungees to the back of the panniers on the rack. I'll be disposing of that at the first point. So let's get going, heading that way towards Crook Peak and then dropping down towards Webington. I've just come from Wavering Down that way. I'm in this little dip, and if I was to carry on, that's the summit, the crag of Crook Peak. But my Garmin's indicating that I'm going right down here. I think I'm going to drop down onto low ground. But most of this is rideable. I was very cautious in places. The geology's a bit strange because there's all this grassland and limestone rocks sticking through, and then all of a sudden the soil appears to change colour. It's very sort of browny clay-like, so I think it's where limestone meets clay. You can see there's a very wide grassy track. What's amazing here is the aspects change completely. Down there you can really see the M5 very clearly, both carriageways. That's the direction I'm sort of heading, and then I'll start looping round up towards Bristol Airport. It's now 2:15 p.m. and I've climbed up from Langford through Rington. I'm at the village of Redhill. You may hear the very busy A38 just behind that hedgerow. There's the Mendips in the distance. Those 2 masts on the top there, that's up near Charterhouse. So this road, I would normally take it up, cross over the A38 and then head back down over the Chew Valley. But this time I'm heading this road up here, Winter's Lane it's called, take me up to Goblin Combe, then round the perimeter of Bristol Airport. Climbed up to the summit of Goblin Combe. This is the perimeter of Bristol Airport. I may hang around bit, see if there's any planes coming in, taking off. These are all plane spotters here. I've just put my windbreak on. Actually, it's quite nippy up here. Feels like I should have probably put an anorak on instead. So right opposite is quite a good view of where I've come from. That very pointed, almost like a low pyramid, that's Crook Peak. Then to the left of it, it goes down, and then the more rounded summit, that's Wavering Down. That's where I was last night. It's now gone 4 PM and I've really been dawdling today. I'm going to finish the video here purely because I think the place name's quite unusual. Norton Malreward. I'm just climbing out of the Chew Valley across back to Bath, but to take a real sting out of, well, two tails actually. There's two really quite nasty hills, one short and sharp and another a long drag, and this road sort of snakes around them both, and yet it goes uphill, but it's very, very gradual, and it's a bit longer, but it really does take the sting out of the tail. And also you run alongside this little stream coming off the fields and the hills flowing into the River Chew. So as I said, end of the video here. Hope you've enjoyed watching it, learnt something.